Hello, and welcome to this presentation of Thames Valley Forum's report entitled Thames Valley Future, a Green Paper, the Region's Economy and the Balance. My name's Ian Binns and I'm the Director of Thames Valley Forum. I would urge you all to have a good look at the report itself in detail. I'm going to flick through the pages today. There's also a blog up on the website with some of the additional points, including some caveats about the report. And really, it is an aid to discussion and conversation about the region's future economy and ensuring its success. You'll see there the structure of the report. It's very accessible, 22 pages in 5 sections. Today, I'm going to focus on sections C and D and a little bit on E in terms of COVID-19 growth sectors and what that all means. So very much suggesting that this is a thought piece. You may have different views, I'm sure you do. Let's get this conversation going. I'm saying that there's lots of factors, and if it wasn't for COVID-19, we'd probably be saying Brexit's the major factor changing things. And if it wasn't for that, we'd be talking about technology or climate change and so on. So there's lots of factors going on, but COVID-19 really has been the fundamental change. And if you look at the global economy, the impact it's having, the recession that we are now in the middle of, this is significant and has changed things considerably. My criteria for what I'm trying to achieve in terms of the economic future is focused on a couple of things. I'm going to be looking at the region as an attractive place for inward investment, as it has been in the past. The region as a place that encourages homegrown success stories, companies to start here and scale up, and all of that really judged by employment, making sure that those economic conditions are felt, those benefits are felt by as many people as possible. And that really is to focus on ensuring good growth rather than potential decline in the future. COVID-19 is having many impacts on our lives at the moment and on business and economy and public sector and so on. And there are many discussion points out there about those various different factors, what will return to normal, what a new normal might be, and so on. My point here in this report is focused on one aspect, and I'm really saying that I think this is the aspect that we need to think about, which is the relationship between workplace and economy. And that they've been intertwined for the past 200 years, but they are considerably changing. Working from home has shown that it can be very successful and that it can potentially save businesses a lot of money and be very attractive for staff in terms of reducing the travel times and costs and so on. And I think this is the one factor that we need to focus on. What does that mean? And it has significant impact for areas such as business rates, local authority funding and so on. But I'm going to look at it more from a future place-based economic view. And there is a strong case for what might be the future of place-based economies. And the Thames Valley has lots of strengths in that area. So you'll see on that page areas such as Pinewood Studios really having a physical offering. That means people need to be there, they need to cluster. So those areas are going to benefit in the future. There's plenty of other examples that will cover it in the region. Areas where people need to congregate, where it means something to be there. Those factors that have concern over them are the more office-based functions. If you can do it on a computer, you can do it anywhere in the world, not just anywhere in the UK. And that has major impacts. So parts of the regional economy that have been based upon corporate offices, those are the areas that are going to have the challenge. We then need to look at sectors for future growth and then start to map those two things together. This is a list, I'm sure it's not exhaustive, but it's a list of sectors found in the Thames Valley, divided by those with strong future growth prospects and those with flatter growth trajectories. retail is a great example of somewhere where we're not expecting particular growth overall. Obviously, there's a shift from the high street to online. Future growth prospects, a lot of new areas such as data centers, life sciences has been talked about a great deal, and you can see the list there. The key thing then I've done is put them all together. From on the left hand side, from low to high, is the sectors for future growth. So below this line, those ones that I've suggested, I've got flatter at best prospects, and above the line are areas with good growth. From left to right, it's about the region's place-based offer, from weak through to strong. So therefore, bottom left square, not priority sectors, areas where there's going to be low future growth that is not particularly related to a physical regional offering. Legal and recruitment are in there. They may remain fairly strong sectors. They'll probably reflect economic activity at large, but they're not areas to really focus on. Offering basic supports to areas that again will be there, that they are related to place, but they're never going to be somewhere where we should really pile in investment. So I'll give you an example. I put horse racing. I live in West Berkshire. I see the great horse racing industry in Lambourn and Newbury Racecourse, and often think, wouldn't it be great if you could connect the two, perhaps through an underground tunnel? But that's not going to be an area that's going to have a particular return on investment. At the top right, you really have a sweet spot, the sectors where we are expecting future growth, and the region has a strong place-based offering. So advanced engineering, there are physical manufacturing sites all around the place. Creative industry, not just Pinewood, there's obviously new studios being discussed at Thames Valley Science Park, which is wonderful, and some strong gaming sector as well. Data centers are a growth area, not particularly for employment, but they are a growth area and a very smart way of using space. Green is around the environmental and energy sector, particularly seen in Oxfordshire, and logistics is the sort of Amazonification of the economy in the way that large warehouses and so on are important, and the region has a strong transport infrastructure to support that. The other two sectors there are life sciences and tech, and I've put in brackets Oxfordshire. So life sciences in Oxfordshire has a really strong reason why people would choose to cluster. For example, the research institutes around the University of Oxford and the science parks in particular at Harwell are real reasons why people need to be there. Now on the top left hand side is where we need to particularly focus. So for example, financial services, there are 4 or 5 UK HQ offices of financial services companies in the wider region. However, when I've spoken to them in the past, they've talked about being in the region for quality of life purposes, and if actually all of their staff can work from home, then why does that necessarily become a differentiator for the Thames Valley in the future? The telecoms industry is particularly interesting. It has gathered along the M4. However, what is keeping it in the future there? Are their offices currently vacant because everyone's working from home? Why would they return to the offices? And most interestingly, I think life sciences and tech. I've put Berkshire there. It's a little bit of a shorthand. Areas such as the M3 have got similar characteristics. Those offerings there tend to be HQ functions, so the pharmaceutical companies or tech companies doing mid and back office. And the real challenge is how can you retain those companies with a presence in the region when actually they're significantly moving to remote working. The conclusions and recommendations suggest that actually the majority of these things that we can organise ourselves as a region if we put together some collective thought and holistic strategy. And it needs to focus around the offering for key areas such as tech, life sciences, and green technologies, and really bringing the two together. So, for example, if we've identified there are large corporates in those sectors around the Reading area, with a lot of the science and research taking place in Oxford or Harwell, how do you physically connect Reading and Oxford, Reading and Harwell better? How do you connect them digitally better? How do you create ecosystem clusters around that. That can relate to reusing space in a more thought through way. For example, there are plenty of department stores that are going to be vacant in the years ahead. How can we really have a strategy around the best use of them? Because there is potential there to use them in new ways to encourage people to gather and do creative work, and to encourage science and research centres. And it's about bringing people together, bringing large corporate startups and scale-ups together, about bringing business, public sector and academia together. And the final point, number 6, is around hubs for co-working. So this is making sure that the co-working offering actually matches where people live, not just where the employment centres are. So for example, in the centre of Reading at the moment, there's a number of co-working sites, but actually if you lived in Wokingham and no longer commuted into London, you wouldn't necessarily want to commute to the centre of Reading. You might want a co-working offering in Wokingham in that example. So there's lots of areas where we can really start to work together to put some ideas, and I hope you found this a thought-provoking green paper. I will be discussing this with a number of stakeholders and policymakers in the weeks and months ahead, taking forward some of the activities and recommendations. You'll see my email address there. Please do get in touch with your thoughts, and if you'd like to be getting involved in the next stage of activity. I think overall it is a time with a great deal of opportunity, and if we all collaborate and work together, we can really ensure that we achieve the outcomes of the vision that we require. So I look forward to working with you in the future. I've been Ian Binns of Thames Valley Forum. Thank you very much for your time.